The eldest sister has a strong temper. After I learned that she had had an affair with her husband, I took the initiative to offer her to be my concubine. But she felt humiliated and committed suicide. My husband didn't care that I was pregnant and just sent me out of the mansion with a divorce letter. My reputation was ruined. I was homeless and was humiliated. But then I heard the news that my elder sister had come back to life and married her husband. I vomited blood and died. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the day when I took my eldest sister to be my concubine. The elder sister said righteously, "In my life, weighing, would rather marry a peddler than be a concubine to a royal noble. This time I'll help her." Her reputation for being a strong woman spread, attracting countless marriage proposals. The butcher, the fish seller, the night watchman, and the dung collector almost broke down the threshold of the mansion. 1. I don't agree. Hearing this, I suddenly opened my eyes. In the main hall of the Marquis's mansion, in front of the clan elders and Fu Changyuan, my elder sister looked at me with a face full of shame and anger. How can I, the legitimate daughter of the Grand Master, become a concubine? Are you trying to humiliate me? My personal maid Hongxiu couldn't stand it anymore. Young lady, don't be ungrateful. Your master has been dismissed from office, and you can't even protect yourself. If it weren't for the kindness of my wife to take you as a concubine, you wouldn't even be able to become a concubine, let alone a wife of a wealthy family. Who said I'm going to marry into a wealthy family? She said sternly, looking at Hongxiu. His eyes swept across the maids and grandmothers in the room and finally fell on Fu Changyuan. He stood up straight with a look of sternness and pride. Although my Wei family has fallen on hard times, we still have our integrity. I swear that I would rather marry a peddler than be a concubine to a royal noble. The room was silent, and everyone was stunned by her shameless remarks. The affair between the two had long been known to everyone in the mansion, yet she was still pretending to be a chaste and virtuous woman. Everyone looked disdainful. Only Fu Changyuan looked deeply at his elder sister, his eyes burning and undisguised. She would rather be the wife of a poor family than the concubine of a rich family. All the women in the world should learn from Yingying's character. There was a hint of joy in the eyes of the eldest sister, and she bowed neither humbly nor arrogantly. Then he turned his attention to me. My concubine's sister has loved to be a scheming person since she was young. She has no idea what integrity and courage are. Even if she heard these words, she must be disdainful. She must still want me to be her concubine, right? I know that I am living under someone else's roof and have no right to speak. If my sister insists on doing this, the worst that can happen to me is death. What a fiery woman. I looked at her quietly for a long time, then smiled softly. 2. This wasn't the first time she had said this. When the Fu family fell into decline, she was unwilling to fulfill the engagement and forced me to marry her in the name of mourning for her stepmother. Who would have thought that Fu Changyuan would make great contributions by chance and be granted the title of nobility one day? In the blink of an eye, I became the Marquis's wife. However, the eldest sister's marriage was never arranged because her father was convicted. Later, when I became pregnant, my elder sister secretly came to the mansion in the name of taking care of me. I scolded her for making trouble and ordered someone to send her home. At that time, she was so stubborn and fearless. My father wants to marry me to an old man as a concubine. If my sister insists on sending me away, I will kill myself as soon as I leave the house. I heard my father mention that person. The 5th rank Wukawai commander is 28 years old this year. Although he is not young, he is definitely not an old man. 3 months ago, this man was not even qualified to be the husband of my eldest sister, let alone be his concubine. But things are different now. My father was disgraced, and is now a poor man. If it weren't for my sister, who is the wife of a marquis, I'm afraid she wouldn't even be able to get married. I asked her to go back first, and I would talk to her father on her own. But my elder sister refused to leave, no matter what. If I leave this door today, my father will definitely send me away as a concubine. What's the difference between that and letting me die? She stiffened her neck, looking stubborn. Even if I die, I don't want to die as a concubine. It happened that Fu Changyuan came back. Hearing this, a hint of interest flashed in his eyes. You are a girl with a strong temper. You are interesting. Why don't you stay and entertain Wan Qing? Fu Changyuan is now a famous gentleman in the capital. Hearing his compliment, the elder sister was so excited that her face turned red. She walked over coquettishly, bowed, and thanked him. Thank you, brother-in-law, for saving my life. Ying promises to never forget it. 03. The eldest sister was carefree and not fussy about details. She believed that Fu Changyuan was her savior, so she often made soup and sent it to the study. Hong Xiu privately reminded me to be careful of my elder sister. What decent girl would go to her brother-in-law's study room all day? I think she has other intentions. Remembering her past vow of never being a concubine, I advised Hong Xiu to be at ease. Who knew that one word would become a prophecy? That night, I went to the study to find Fu Changyuan, but found the door closed, and I could hear gasping sounds coming from inside the room. Lord Ho, please be gentle. Ying is going to be killed by you. Fu Changyuan's low laughter was heard. My dear, how could I bear to let you die? I will only make you want to live and die. I felt like I was falling into an ice cellar, and it was only because Hong Xiu held me up tightly that I didn't collapse to the ground. There is no wall that is completely airtight. If I can discover it, then naturally others can discover it too. Soon, the news about the two of them spread like wildfire, and even outside there were rumors that if her reputation was ruined, not only me but also the baby in my belly would be implicated by her. So I made a prompt decision, asked the elders of the clan to be witnesses, and made my elder sister a concubine on the grounds that she could not serve my husband during her pregnancy. In her previous life, she pretended like this. I sneered at the time and told her to think it over carefully. If she missed this opportunity, she would never have the chance to be my concubine in the future. The elder sister felt insulted and ran away, covering her face. That night, he left a suicide note and committed suicide by taking poison. My sister knew that I didn't want to be a concubine, but she still insisted on humiliating me. Wei Ying can only die to show her determination. The reputation of the eldest sister's strong character spread throughout the capital. After hearing the news, the Queen Mother praised her as the most courageous woman in history and buried her with the rights of a princess. Fu Changyuan said that I was vulgar and jealous, and regardless of the fact that I was pregnant, he sent me a letter of divorce and drove me out of the mansion. He then knelt down and begged the Empress to marry my eldest sister's tablet as his principal wife. The true love between the two moved heaven and earth, but I became the object of everyone's scorn in the capital. They threw rotten vegetables and rotten eggs at me and told me to die quickly. Kill this vicious woman Wei Wanqing. Someone raised his arm and shouted loudly, and the angry crowd rushed forward, picked up the hose and spanners beside them, and smashed them at me. Hong Xiu held me tightly in her arms and was beaten until her head was bleeding. Seeing that someone was about to die, those people dispersed in a hurry. I hugged Hong Xiu and cried my heart out. Blood gushed out of her mouth. Her bloody hand touched my cheek. Madam, don't cry. Hong Xiu can't take care of you anymore. You promised me that you must live well. Hong Xiu died that night. I lived a miserable life and was humiliated by a group of beggars. However, he unexpectedly heard the news that his elder sister came back to life and married Fu Changyuan. I couldn't understand it before. It was obvious that the two of them were having an affair. If my elder sister was found to be unmarried and unfaithful, she would be doomed. I made her my concubine, which not only fulfilled her wish, but also saved her life. Why did she commit suicide by taking poison and accuse me of forcing her sister to death? Now I finally understand. It turns out that what she was interested in was my position. Unfortunately, both I and the baby in my belly became stepping stones for her to gain fame and marry Fu Changyuan. I vomited blood and died on the street. 04. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the day when my eldest sister was taken as a concubine. The eldest sister was refusing to be a concubine with a proud look on her face. I gritted my teeth and swallowed the anger in my throat. I stood up suddenly, slammed the table hard, and laughed out loud. Well said. As expected of a legitimate wife. I walked up to her in 2 or 3 steps and took her hand. There is no other woman in the whole capital who is as strong-willed as my sister. Wanqing looked down on my sister just now. Don't worry, if anyone asks me to be your concubine again, I will be the first to not forgive him. The daughter of our Wei family would rather die than become your legal wife. I want to see how she will end up without me as a stepping stone in this life. The elder sister was stunned. After a while, she stammered. I'm glad my sister understands me. I patted my elder sister's hand, turned to Fu Changyuan and said, in the past, I saw my elder sister often chatting with the Marquis in the study, and I thought she was interested in you. Now I see that I was mistaken. Your Highness, please don't do this again. If it tarnishes my sister's reputation, I will be the first to object. Fu Changyuan called himself a famous scholar and always valued his reputation more than his life. Perhaps he has some true feelings for his eldest sister. But once one's own interests are involved, that bit of sincerity becomes less important. So, after weighing the pros and cons, Fu Changyuan agreed with almost no hesitation. After being married for several years, he looked at me with admiration for the first time. Although his character is not as strong as Yingying's, he is able to correct his mistakes, which is a gentleman's demeanor. The eldest sister was so angry at this scene that the handkerchief in her hand was almost torn to pieces. Finally, she found an excuse to go back to her room. After everyone left, I called Hongxiu. You must go out immediately, whether it is a tea house, a tavern, or the streets, and spread the word of what my elder sister just said. Hongxiu had long been fed up with her elder sister, so she immediately responded and went. I stroked my bulging belly and couldn't help but chuckle. My dear sister, since you want to be the legal wife so much, I will give you a helping hand this time. 05. Hongxiu is reliable in her work. Within 3 days, everyone in the capital knew that the eldest daughter of the Wei family was of noble character and strong personality. Although his family has fallen on hard times, he still has a lot of backbone. Even when the Marquis's wife was pregnant and wanted to take her as the Marquis's concubine, she would rather die than obey, declaring that she would rather marry a common man than be someone else's concubine. The reputation of the eldest sister for her fierce character spread widely in the capital. It has attracted the admiration and pursuit of countless people. There was an endless stream of proposals for marriage, and they almost broke down the threshold of the mansion. There were all kinds of people, including pig butchers, fish sellers, night watchmen, and excrement collectors. Every time someone comes to me, I ask them to leave a letter of employment. They were invited to attend a banquet at the Marquis's residence 3 days later, when the eldest daughter would personally select her husband. After hearing this, the eldest sister stopped Fu Changyuan and cried on his way home from court. I don't despise these people because of their low status. If it were in the past, I could just pick one of them at random, but now I am the Marquis's wife. How can I marry another man? If someone else heard these words, I don't know how sad they would be. But Fu Changyuan is not an ordinary person. He just frowned slightly, as if he was meeting his elder sister for the first time. When I first saw you dare to run away for marriage, I thought you were carefree. I never thought that you now value chastity so much. He pushed his eldest sister's hand away and shook his head in disappointment. Vulgar, vulgar. Hongxiu finished her story in vivid detail, her face turning red with excitement. Madam, you haven't seen the young lady's face, which is blue and white, and looks better than changing her face. Looking at the servants coming and going in the mansion, busy preparing for the banquet, I curled my lips. My good sister. There will be many opportunities for her to change her attitude in the future. 06. 3 days passed quickly, and the son-in-law selection banquet was held as scheduled. In addition to the candidates who had already submitted their letters of appointment, there were also many ladies who came to join in the fun. The Marquis's mansion was even more lively that day than a temple meeting. I and the ladies sat on the stage. As soon as the eldest sister appeared, everyone exclaimed in surprise. This Miss Wei is prettier than Xiao Chui from Chongqing Tower. One look at her almost took my soul away. Look at her butt, it's so big and round. she can give birth to a son. Chang Chunlu is a famous brothel in the capital. As soon as these people opened their mouths, they compared my eldest sister to a prostitute and used obscene words like but and so on. The eldest sister was ashamed and angry, her face flushed. A man with a chubby face stepped forward and looked at the eldest sister with an infatuated look on his face. Miss Wei is so beautiful, yet she is willing to marry a peddler like me. Such a character is rare in the world. If I, Hu Lao San, can marry Miss Wei, I will give my 2 butcher shops as a betrothal gift. Butcher shop. My elder sister's hands, which were holding the handkerchief, were shaking, and she looked at me with anger on her face. Sister, how could you let someone like this in? What kind of person is this? I pretended to be surprised. It was my elder sister who said she was willing to marry a peddler, so I accepted their proposal. What's wrong? Does my elder sister look down on them again? The eldest sister choked and looked at the dozens of ladies on the stage. It took him a while to squeeze out a few words from between his teeth. Of course not. 07. The candidates came up one by one. There were people selling fish in the east of the city, people collecting dung in the city, and night watchmen in the government office. After searching for a long time, there was not even a single official son. The elder sister was so angry that her eyes turned red. There are hundreds of people, but not even one educated one. If you say my sister didn't deliberately screen them, I won't believe it even if you kill me. You want to put a label on me in front of so many people. I'm not used to her. Sister, please stop slandering me. Everyone's engagement letters were sent to the marquis. I didn't handle any of them. I didn't lie to her. I really didn't touch the job offer list. I just asked Hongxiu to tell a few girls who were maids in Beppu about her and Fu Chanyuan. The elder sister was scared. Looking at Fu Chanyuan, her eyes were filled with tears, and she looked so pitiful. Unfortunately, Fu Chanyuan didn't even look at her. He just tapped the folding fan in his hand leisurely, as if everything in front of him had nothing to do with him. Seeing that the eldest sister was taking no time to make a choice, some people below began to get restless. We have met all the candidates, but Miss Wei didn't choose any of them. Was she kidding us with what she said before? That's right. They must be trying to use us common people as a chastity arch so that they can marry someone else into a wealthy family. How can this be possible? We have all sold our land to buy betrothal gifts. If you really don't want to choose any of them, we will report you to the Lord of Heaven and sue you for deceiving the people. No, I didn't. Sister D tried to comfort them in a panic, feeling angry and anxious. While I was comforting everyone, I turned around and urged my elder sister. Sister, please choose quickly. These are all in line with your requirements. There are absolutely no wives or concubines in the family. When my sister marries him, she will be the legal wife and will definitely not bring disgrace to your reputation. 08. The people below were still shouting to call the police. It's impossible to appease him. Seeing that everyone was getting emotional, the eldest sister was in a dilemma. She gritted her teeth and pointed at someone at random. Him. I choose him. I looked carefully and saw that the person chosen was the butcher, Hu Lao San. The man's face turned red with excitement, and he stepped forward and kowtowed. His eyes were fixed on his eldest sister, examining her from head to toe over and over again. She didn't look like a decent person at all. I don't want to look at my elder sister even once more. After choosing the right person, they said, it's not advisable to see each other too often before marriage. He turned around and went back to his room. Soon, the eldest daughter of the Wei family chose a butcher as her husband. Everyone laughed at the father's doted-on daughter, who actually married such a disgraceful husband. The father was so angry that he fainted. When the news came, my sister returned home overnight. The next day, he postponed the wedding date on the grounds that his father was ill. Hu Lao San was somewhat sincere towards his eldest sister. After hearing about this, he bought a lot of supplements and went to visit his father-in-law. However, he was turned away. Even his eldest sister refused to see him. Only then did he come to his senses and blocked the door opening, cursing. Okay, I figured it out. You guys want to break off the engagement, right? You shameless bastards, I tell you. Since you have accepted my betrothal gift and engagement letter, You will be Hu Laosan's wife even after you die. My father had been a civil official all his life and had never suffered such humiliation. Despite his sick body, he promised to get married 3 days later. I prepared 30 sets of dowry and asked Hongxiao to take them to the Wei family. I stayed there on the pretext of escorting the bride and carefully checked whether there were any suspicious people who came into contact with my elder sister. The night before the wedding, Hongxiao brought back a brown pill. The young lady's maid took a large bag of silver and went out. I waited for an hour, and when she came back, I knocked her unconscious and searched her for the money. The little maidservant couldn't help being frightened and confessed everything in no time. This is the turtle-breathing pill. After taking it, you can hold your breath for several days. After 3 days, you will be able to wake up. At this point, there was nothing I didn't understand. My elder sister wanted to fake her death to avoid marriage. Hongxiao angrily scolded my elder sister for being shameless and asked me what to do. I chuckled and pointed to the beauty pills on the table. Hongxiao understood immediately, poured out a pill from inside, stuffed it to the little maid, and threatened fiercely. Do you know what to say when we get back? The maidservants nodded like crazy. I know. 09. On the wedding day, Hu Laosan's sedan chair arrived as promised. I went to see my eldest sister off to get married, but I learned that she was absolutely unwilling to get on the sedan chair. Why am I not dead? It's impossible. How can I not die? No, I want to get out. She sat on the ground and sprinkled. Several maids couldn't hold her back and had to go out to find someone. Seeing me, she rushed over and shouted, "Wan Qing, my dear sister, I am willing to be the concubine of the Marquis. I have been his for a long time." The eldest sister's words stopped abruptly. Her father slapped her hard in the face and said, "You rebellious girl, don't you think I've been treated badly enough? Either you get married today or you die." The eldest sister lay limp on the ground and was helped onto the sedan chair like a walking corpse. The former daughter of the Grand Tutor married a butcher. The whole capital was shocked, and the streets were lined with crowds of onlookers. In a private room on the second floor of a street-side inn, Hongxiao looked down at the wedding procession and cursed to vent her anger. "This is called lifting a rock and dropping it on your own feet. You deserve it." Hu Laosan was riding a donkey, his face flushed as he shouted to both sides of the street. "I, Hu Laosan, married the eldest daughter of an official family today. All the villagers, please come to my house for a feast. There will be plenty of wine and meat." There was a cheer from the crowd. At this moment, the eldest sister pulled aside the curtain and scolded Hu Laosan. "Do you understand etiquette? Why are you shouting in the street?" Being humiliated in front of so many people, Hu Laosan's eyes flashed with a hint of sternness, but in the end he still tried to curry favor with his elder sister and bowed. "My lady is right, I won't shout anymore. Let's go back and get married."
10.
I took Hongxiao with me and went to Zhao's house dressed up. When getting married, the eldest sister was reluctant. Hu Laosan's eyes widened, and immediately 2 burly women came up and pressed my sister's head to the ground and banged it. The rules of marriage are that once you enter your husband's house, you must learn to obey your husband and regard him as your god. Just do whatever your husband tells you to do. Don't put on airs. Hu Laosan was very proud. "So, what if she is a daughter of an official family? If you become my wife, Hu Laosan, you still have to wash my feet and wait on me when I sleep." Everyone laughed and praised him for his prowess. The elder sister couldn't stand it anymore. She tore off her veil, pointed at Hu Laosan and cursed, "You are so vulgar and shameless. Do you think you are worthy of being my husband? You are not even worthy of washing my feet. This marriage is off. I won't get married," she said and turned away. But now that things have come to this, she can't just leave whenever she wants. The room was full of people from the Hu family. Just after taking 2 steps, Hu Laosan grabbed her by the waist and picked her up. "This woman just needs to be disciplined. Folks, enjoy your meals. I will take her to the bridal chamber first, and then bring her back to everyone after she's been disciplined." Everyone burst into laughter. Go. Let us see how the ladies perform the ceremony." Hu Laosan was strong and healthy. He walked to the backyard in 2 or 3 steps, carrying his eldest sister. Some people started to make a fuss, saying that they wanted to disturb the bridal chamber. Hu Laosan didn't take it seriously and shouted for everyone to come, and a group of people went to the bridal chamber in a mighty procession.
12.
The so-called new house is just a tidier room. There were simply a few red silk threads hung up, and even the bed was only covered with a thin quilt. That third who had no mercy on women at all. He picked up the eldest sister and threw her up hard. The eldest sister fell dizzy and turned around, crying out in pain. He just pretended not to hear. Without even closing the door, he turned over and pressed on her in front of everyone. The elder sister was so ashamed and angry that she pulled out her hairpin and pointed at him and said, "I am the daughter of the Grand Master. If you dare to touch me, I will make sure you never see the sun tomorrow." The male authority was challenged again and again, and Hu Laosan could no longer bear it. He raised his hand and slapped his elder sister hard. "You bastard, I'll give you some face. Do you really think you are a rich lady? Your old father is now a poor man, and he may even need me to support him in his old age. What can he do to me?" Sister D was angry and scared, and she held the hairpin tightly in both hands. "You are not allowed to come over here. My sister is the wife of Marquis Qingyuan. Believe it or not, I will let her kill you." Hu Laosan snatched the hairpin and threw it on the ground. He tore off the clothes of his elder sister, pinched her chin, and said, "So, what if she's the Marquis' wife? It's only natural for me to sleep with my own wife. Even the emperor can't stop me." I saw the man's big hands were about to tear off my underwear. The elder sister couldn't help but collapse and yell, "I am the woman of Qingyuan Marquis, Fu Changyuan. If you touch me, he will definitely kill you." 13. The crowd was in uproar. Someone asked, "You are talking nonsense. Isn't Qingyuan Ho your brother-in-law?" At this point, the elder sister could no longer care about any scheming. She got out of bed and told everyone about the affair between the two of them like pouring beans out of a bamboo tube. After saying this, she puffed out her chest with a proud look on her face. "I have been the Marquis' man for a long time. If you know what's best for you, please let me go." Being cuckolded in public, Hu Laosan was furious and slapped the man twice. "You bastard, you never tell the truth. Whether she is the Marquis' woman or not, I won't know until I try her." He tore it apart with both hands, ignoring his elder sister's heart-wrenching cries, and turned over to press on her. I stood in the crowd and watched this scene quietly. Suddenly, I thought of the day when my elder sister married Fu Changyuan in my previous life. I was raped by a group of beggars on the street. People were moving on my body, and blood was oozing out from between my legs. The man thought it was bad luck and climbed off me, cursing. The elder sister came forward with a lantern, threw a bag of silver over, and cursed. "My concubine sister used to be the wife of a marquis. Now I'm spending money to let you play with her, and you still dare to reject her." Everyone said they didn't dare, and tried to grab me. Afterwards, I was barely alive. My elder sister covered her nose, looked me up and down, and smiled with satisfaction. A lowly concubine's daughter is worthy of sharing the same husband with me. These beggars are where you should end up. 14. That Hu Laosan was really vulgar. He actually took the eldest sister by force in front of everyone. Afterwards, he got out of bed, pulling up his pants and swearing, "You bastard, you are really a useless person. Fu Changyuan is going too far. He stuffed his own slept-dead woman on me. Do you think I, Hu Laosan, am a vegetarian?" The daughter-in-law, who was married with great fanfare, had actually lost her chastity long ago. Hu Laosan was not going to swallow this humiliation. He kicked the door frame hard and declared that even if it meant death, he would report to the police and seek justice. When I returned with Hongxiu, the government officials had already arrived. The leading officer said, "Hu Laosan has sued the Marquis for violating moral principles and for forcibly taking another man's wife. Please go and see him." What Fu Changyuan cared about most in his life was his reputation. After hearing this, he looked calm. "This is just a misunderstanding. Just explain it clearly. Then you go first." I'll change my clothes and follow." As soon as the others left, his face suddenly became gloomy. He kicked over the table in front of him, panting heavily and cursing nonstop. "How dare you, these bastards, slander me?" 15. In the government hall, the eldest sister was kneeling in dishevel, her clothes in disarray, her eyes lifeless, her hair disheveled, her cheeks swollen with clearly visible finger marks, and her exposed neck was covered with purple pinch marks. Seeing Fu Changyuan leading me in, my elder sister immediately rushed over. My lord, please let me make the decision. I cannot marry Hu Lao-san. I am your woman." Fu Changyuan's face changed drastically. He took me back a step and shouted, "What are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense." The elder sister grabbed Fu Changyuan's trousers. "My lord, have you forgotten that we made love several times in your study, and many people in the mansion knew about it? How could you turn your back on me?" Outside the ancestral hall were people watching. Hearing this, everyone was excited. One is a famous gentleman in the capital, and the other is a strong-willed girl who has caused a sensation recently. The two of them actually had an affair secretly. Isn't this making a fool of everyone? Since it concerns his own reputation, Fu Changyuan would never admit it. He insisted that it was his elder sister who had gone mad. After all, he is a marquis, and no one dares to accuse him of the crime as long as he denies it. Hu Lao-san was so angry that he turned to vent his anger on his eldest sister. "You stinky bitch. I don't know which wild man you slept with, and now you are talking nonsense and slandering the marquis. I'll show you how I'll deal with you when I get back." After saying that, he grabbed the man's hair and dragged him out. "My lord, you said my sister was boring and vulgar, and that I had no feelings for her. I followed you because you loved me. Have you forgotten what you said now?" The eldest sister hugged Fu Changyuan's legs and refused to let go, crying heart-wrenchingly. Perhaps because he wanted to disgust Fu Changyuan, Hu Lao-san let go and let his eldest sister escape. Seeing that she was about to pounce on him, Fu Changyuan kicked her directly. "Get out of here." This kick actually knocked the eldest sister unconscious. Fu Changyuan didn't even look at her and turned to leave. Suddenly, someone shouted, "She's bleeding. Miss Wei is bleeding." I saw a stream of blood flowing out from between my elder sister's legs. Some women who had given birth saw at a glance. Could this Miss Wei have had a miscarriage? 16. After the doctor's diagnosis, it was confirmed that my elder sister had indeed had a miscarriage. Hu Lao-san became emboldened and wrote a letter of divorce that same day, claiming that his eldest sister had cheated on him. The man was thrown at the gate of the mansion. Now Fu Changyuan's reputation as a hypocrite could no longer be concealed. The gate of the mansion was filled with people who came to watch the excitement and surrounded the gate. The housekeeper came to report that the eldest sister had been vomiting blood. Fu Changyuan was so angry that he threw the teacup. "No one is allowed to control her. Just let her die at the door. It's really as heartless as in my previous life." I lowered my head, hiding the coldness in my eyes, and advised in a gentle tone, "Lord Marquis, calm down. There are so many people watching us. If she dies at the gate of the Marquis mansion, you will be known as a vicious person. It's not worth it for her." Fu Changyuan was so angry that his face turned blue. He hesitated for more than half an hour before finally nodding. When my eldest sister was carried in, she had already fainted. Fu Changyuan turned his face away in disgust. "Throw her into the woodshed and let her fend for herself." He walked away in a huff, not even bothering to take a look. I asked someone to clean the woodshed, add a bed, and call a doctor. After taking good care of her for several days, my elder sister finally woke up. Who would have thought that when she opened her eyes and saw me, the first thing she asked was, "Where is the Marquis?" It was the Marquis who rescued me and brought me back to the Marquis mansion, right? I knew he couldn't bear to leave me. Having just suffered a miscarriage, her lips were still pale, but when she mentioned Fu Changyuan, a layer of powder quietly appeared on her cheeks. Seeing her so stupid, I just felt hateful and pathetic. Ending up like this, she is still thinking about a man. The funny thing is that I died at the hands of such a man in my previous life. My eldest sister clamored to see Fu Changyuan. saying that I was jealous and refused to let them meet. Hong Xiu sneered, her words like flying knives. Miss, please open your eyes and see clearly where this place is. This is the woodshed. It's not even a place for servants to live in. If the Marquis really loves you, would he let you live here? You keep calling me Marquis all the time. I tell you, if it weren't for Madam's pleading for you and calling a doctor for you, you would have died out there. The elder sister didn't believe it. No, it's impossible. She jumped out of bed like crazy, without even putting on her shoes, and ran to the front yard. I didn't let anyone stop her. It's okay, she'll be back soon. Ever since his reputation was damaged, Fu Changyuan had become a desperate person, spending all day fooling around in the study with a few young men and a few dancers. I guess I'm very happy right now. If she goes there now, she will only get herself into trouble. I knew that she would be humiliated by Fu Changyuan, but I didn't expect that Fu Changyuan would actually let my elder sister accompany those young men. When my elder sister came back, her hair was disheveled, her cheeks were red and swollen, and her neck was covered with ambiguous red marks. She climbed quietly into bed. She didn't cry, nor did she call for Fu Changyuan again. 17. After I recovered, my elder sister came to my room late at night. This time, there was no trace of her usual arrogance on her face. As soon as he entered, he knelt down and said, "Sister, please give me a way out. As long as you let me stay in the mansion, you can let me do anything." She got pregnant before marriage, and her reputation was ruined. If she returned to the Wei family, she would be thrown into a pig cage. I slowly finished a cup of tea and agreed with a smile. Afterwards, Hong Xiu was angry at me for being too kind. She was so kind to you, but you still let her stay. I think she is not a quiet person, and she is harboring evil intentions in her heart. I smiled and said nothing. What she doesn't know is that I'm much more evil than my elder sister. Just as Hong Xiu said, the eldest sister was restless even in the mansion. She asked for bird's nest and ginseng one moment and rouge and powder the next. Hong Xiu pointed at her elder sister's nose and scolded her. "How dare you say such things? Our wife takes care of your food and drink, and she also has to take care of your appearance." I waved my hands and asked Hong Xiu to do as she said, and asked her to send a few pieces of fashionable fabrics to her elder sister and ask the embroiderer to give her a few more clothes. Hong Xiu went reluctantly, and when she came back, she stamped her feet in anger. "Ma'am, you don't know. When I went there, the young lady was twisting her waist and practicing dancing. I think she's going to seduce the Marquis." Seeing her angry look, I touched her head and couldn't help laughing. She doesn't know that I asked my elder sister to do all these. What's the point of just revenge? In this life, I want to see them fight each other. With those supplements and rouge and powder, the eldest sister quickly regained her former glory. She dressed up beautifully all day long and waited on the road when Fu Changyuan passed by on his way home from court. She revealed her slender waist and looked at Fu Changyuan pitifully. "I was the one who was bewildered and caused your reputation to be damaged. It's my fault, Lord Ho. Please punish me." Because of this, Fu Changyuan has been ridiculed a lot these days, so how could he forgive her easily? When he was in a better mood, he just told her coldly to get lost. If he was in a bad mood, he would kick her twice. Faced with all this, the eldest sister just shed tears silently, looked back every few steps as she walked away, and then turned around to make some soup and send it to Fu Changyuan. "Who let you in? Get out." Fu Changyuan was so annoyed that he picked up a bowl and smashed it on his elder sister. The soup spilled all over her elder sister, but she had no complaints and just stared at Fu Changyuan foolishly. "It's all because I love you too much that I made a big mistake by speaking without thinking. Now I deserve whatever you do to me." These words are spoken with true feelings. As an outsider, I felt that my elder sister must love him terribly, not to mention Fu Changyuan. Day after day, the look in his eyes towards his eldest sister warmed up. Finally, on a drunken night, he pulled his elder sister onto the bed again. 19. After this, the eldest sister stayed with Fu Changyuan every day. washing his feet and warming his bed without any complaints. The maids laughed at her privately. At first the madam made her a concubine, but she insisted on pretending to be a saint. Now, she has become a maidservant. It's shameful for a rich lady to fall to this state. The elder sister seemed to have heard nothing. He still stayed by Fu Chongyuan's side every day. She was the daughter of a noble family, proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Now she has used all her skills to please a man who wouldn't be moved. Sure enough, within half a month, Fu Chongyuan was completely coaxed into submission by her. Not only did he let her move into his own room, he also sent all kinds of jewelry and clothing to his elder sister. Hong Xiu was so angry that she cursed. This wicked thing. The madam saved her life, and she turned around and climbed into the marquis's bed. Isn't she afraid of being struck by lightning? I recalled the fierce look my elder sister gave Fu Chongyuan when I looked up just now. I couldn't help but chuckle. Since his reputation was damaged, Fu Chongyuan rarely went out to socialize. The eldest sister felt sorry for him and said that she wanted to go to the Hugua temple to burn incense and pray for Fu Chongyuan and also accompany him to the manor to stay for a while and relax. Without saying a word, I immediately asked someone to pack their luggage and happily sent the two of them to the carriage. Before leaving, Fu Chongyuan rarely showed a guilty look. He held my hand and said, "Wan Qing, you should stay at home and take care of your baby. I will definitely come back before you give birth. My lord and sister, go ahead and rest assured." I pulled my hand away without leaving a trace and smiled gently. "I'll be waiting for you at home." Wait until the two people's carriage slowly leaves. Hong Xiu became worried again. What if the marquis is too happy to return home and can't come back before the lady gives birth? I lowered my head and gently stroked my bulging belly. He will definitely come back. But I don't know whether he is dead or alive.
20.
Fu Chongyuan did come back before I gave birth. But he was placed in a coffin and carried back. He was still wearing the same clothes he had worn when he left, but they were so tattered that they no longer looked like they used to be. Not only was one of his legs missing, he was also missing an ear. The marquis fell off a cliff while riding his horse. When I found him, he was being eaten by a wild wolf. "I'm sorry, sister, for making you a widow." The eldest sister knelt in front of the mourning hall. When he said this, his tone was calm and his facial expression was frighteningly cold. Looking at Fu Chongyuan's tragic death in the coffin, I couldn't help but curl my lips. "Sister, don't blame yourself. Maybe this is fate." The accidental death of an imperial official is no small matter. The imperial court sent people to investigate, and my eldest sister, the only witness, was also taken away and did not return until I gave birth. I gave birth to a son. Because his father died, he inherited the title at birth. He became the youngest marquis in the entire dynasty. On the day of his son's full moon, news came from the prison. After an examination by the coroner, it was confirmed that Fu Chongyuan's death had nothing to do with his elder sister. Logically, Miss Wei should be released. The jailer who came to report the news paused for a moment, and seeing that I didn't react, he continued. "Maybe she caught a cold in prison." When I went to check on her early in the morning, Miss Wei was already dead. I had Fu Chongyuan dug out and burned together with my elder sister. Then they were buried in the same tomb. Hong Xiu was puzzled. Why not just throw this shameless couple into a coffin? Why waste so much firewood to burn them? I played with the small box in my hand. It turned out that the drug that caused fake death was contained in this box, but it suddenly disappeared after my eldest sister left with the soldiers. I told Hong Xiu, "The marquis and the eldest sister love each other. Burning them to ashes will allow them to be inseparable for the rest of their lives. This is the only thing I can do for them now."